program today, we talk digitalization in the mobile industry. We also get into the agriculture sector as we talk about value addition on agri-produce. How is this being done in the country, if it is being done at all? We get into the tourism sector as we talk visual arts and what they're bringing to that particular sector. These and more items on the program. This is Business Day and my name is Judy Ngulube. First off, we get into the agriculture sector, one of the sectors that Zambia has demarcated as that can grow its economy, help to grow from the dependence of copper into agriculture as well as tourism. But particularly the agriculture sector, how is it performing? How are the farmers doing? And zeroing in onto value addition of these agri-produce. But if you've been to Soweto market or any market that is bringing in tomato of late, you will agree with me that tomato prices have slammed from as much as 300 kwacha a box to 45 kwacha. What is going on there? Are we adding value? What is happening to the perishable items such as these? I'm very glad that in studio I have Ms. Ngoma, who is the founder of By Z. This is an organization that looks at what we can do with indigenous Zambian produce and how we can make it very viable as a produce not only in Zambia but outside as well. Thank you so much for coming through. How are you?
Oh, fine, thanks, Judy. Good morning. Good evening.
Good evening. So when we talk about the Buy Z campaign, how does it make you feel? You're walking along a market that is throwing away tomatoes. How does that make you feel? The tomato pricing, firstly, maybe let's start with the pricing. How do you feel about it slamming from about 300 to 45 kwacha per box?
I think, Judy, actually, that one, it makes us as an organization not impressed. You know, the farmer is supposed to get a value for his goods. But again, forces of demand and supply will apply here. So basically, what is lacking here is value addition. Because you see, the tomato you see at these various markets out there are fresh. Mm-hmm. Those, every household uses fresh tomato. Almost 80%. 20% would use the pests and stuff like that. And so now, why we are throwing tomatoes is because we do not have industry in Zambia that adds value, that can preserve the tomato in various forms. So, tomato in its fresh form has got a very, very short life. So, if it is not value added, then the next thing is waste.
So with the campaign that you have, it's very vigorous on enhancing Zambian produce and what we can do with them. You've mentioned examples such as, paste and what we can do puree with the tomatoes. And when you look at these tomatoes going to waste, what are you as an organization doing to, even on a small scale, even on a domestic scale, to make sure that there's some preservation of these tomatoes and maximization can be added, or is it applied to the boom of tomatoes on the market?
Thank you. Actually, what sometime we had been on the out there in the field to understand, appreciate those that the names that we know that they're adding value to the tomatoes. Mm-hmm. You talk of fresh pig, Rivonia.
I was actually coming to that. What are those doing as well? Anyway, let's go first.
Yeah. So now, what has happened is that actually, our visit to them, we were so surprised that they do not even crush any tomatoes. So meaning that the rest of the tomato paste that we are seeing, it is just coming in bulk forms, already processed. And they are only packaging.
From outside Zambia?
Yes, Tanzania here. Others from China, they are coming in bulk, in drums, already crushed. All they are doing is just packaging. I think for once we must engage government to come up with better policies that are going to support a farmer out there. It is government who can only salvage these farmers from throwing away the tomato and these other products out there. We must have policies that will ensure that value addition of these products is done in Zambia. And once we do that, You know, the rest of it, yes, we understand that business is about population. You know, Zambia as a country, we are only looking at 16 million people. And so now that isn't enough market for whatever we produce. But basically what should happen is that our neighbors out there are a ready market for us. And also looking up it beyond Europe, Asia, America, and these other economies. They came to get what we produce as a country.
So what isn't being done?
What isn't being done is the market linkages out there. You know, at a broader spectrum, government should be pragmatic in whatever they do. You know, we must graduate our farmers from their smaller scale into a commercial base by looking at bigger markets. Institutes like IDC, which is a government, a quasi-government institution.
Do you think IDC is doing enough?
IDC currently is not doing enough because look, the tomatoes had been going to waste, not only today, but years back. They should come up with programs that will make sure that they plow into an industry. We used to have Zambia horticultural thing, that which is now fresh baked. We need to have those industry to be revived, and then we will begin to create more jobs. And when we create those jobs, in turn, we will broaden the tax base. So the issue of outgrower scheme also will need to come into play, because one of our findings yesterday was that the tomato in Zambia is expensive as compared to us importing from out there.
I was about to ask to say, but why import when we've got all these tomatoes that have, even at this period particularly, slammed prices to even less than a quarter of what was the original?
And this is the only time one of them confirmed to say, we only went there yesterday after the prices crashed, because at least we can break even. But before that, they are saying the prices of a box of tomato is far beyond what they can import. So they would rather import other than using a local product here, because they will not make any money. Look at issues of electricity tariffs going up, the transport costs going up. So I think...
So what would be the best way in regards to making sure that some of these produce, in particular what we're concentrating on, tomatoes today, can be maximized on, and make sure that even though when we're looking at production costs, either for the farmer or for secondary production companies like, Fresh Picket and all those who are trying to add value to the tomatoes, can be affordable?
Judy, a very close example is just Congo DR here. We had, is it 2, 3, 4 days ago, Trade Kings was crying because Congo has said no to products that are coming from Zambia. Yes, Zambia, we agree, we are affiliated to the many treaties that are there, and so us Zambians, we are too good at following that which is written in the books. Our colleagues also are member states to these treaties out there. But us, our farmers, our producers are suffering because we are following to the latter. We do not want to abrogate that which we signed in the SADC protocols. But I think for once, government too should put their foot down and protect that which is theirs, because we do not want to, as a country, forever to begin to be borrowing monies in order to spearhead our infrastructure project, whilst we have got plenty amongst ourselves, that which we are not managing well. All so right. We would want government to come up with punitive policies that will be with the farmer, so that for once we must begin to appreciate what is ours.
All right. Mr. Emerson Ngoma, thank you so much for coming through.
Thanks so much, Judy. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. We are still talking about agri-produce and how value can be added to them, or how we can maximize on some of them, especially in seasons where they're in a boom. We are zeroing in on tomatoes. Tomatoes have had a slam in pricing as far as 45 kwacha per box from something as much as 300 kwacha per box. We took our cameras to Soweto Market here in Lusaka to see exactly what is happening with the traders of tomatoes, what they are maximizing, how do they feel about this. Have a watch at this and then get back with us in studio.
Apa maboxi ya cheap, 40 kwacha, 30 kwacha.
Highest price ama boxi mankala nangizinga?
Apa peva cheaper, so highest price in 50 kwacha.
Okay. So ungakambepo bwanje apa manje ati tomato yankala kuma 40 kwacha per box.
Apa business kulibe kaidi vapaka. Uli onse murodi alinavo kumkombo ni valinavo, so sivienda vapaka vonongeka chapi. At least paja vikadula manje, mankala komushi nese timadia komushi.
So imona imapano kuno mwachipisha profit ilipo?
Kulebe profit manje kaidi sivienda. Zavi chipisa oneni sota viunjika vili vambili so chabe hapa tisha 3 kwacha vambili vili 20 hapa. So profit mulibe. Kaidi vikupya na zuva, elo futi manje. Kwanza kurodi mona chabe ni tomato chabe. So profit mulibe kulibe chipezamu hapa.
So manje ngati aonongeka mmapeleka kuti?
Kulebe timata chabe patishala so pabini vija so taenda kutaya. Kai kulibe kwa chapeleka.
So mukakambepo bwanje kumapama ziko watu wamene batamba mungabauze ko bwanje.
Aba bantu kaidi sunga zibe bamalimira pamozi apasova pia pamozi stuzi wa buno because na have my farmers obviously in a loss popeza box manje pezeke na move 20 kwacha 15 kwacha 5 kwacha so peza kati ni loss na veve mwenye peza loss na ifet peza loss.
Okay. Kutwarumba kufyo buteko batu afurisha kuna info batu sambisha kwefya kutakonzevu tomato. Okuchira ile evura filafine bare posa mufishara. Awa ma farmers bena ni loss. Transport ngabari mefya kubika kopako bachifimene era nomba futi ngabare takuno basanga fya chipapa fya pachipi.
From that piece there, very interesting, and people airing out their views, quite numerous views coming through in regards to value addition of the tomato and how it's going to waste, and cries to the authority on how help is needed when it comes to the traders, the farmers, as well as people who are involved in the tomato chain when it comes from production all the way to get to the market. I have in studio Mr. Lovemore Malunga. He is a farmer from Chongwe. We want to get his view on issues of how he's doing in terms of production costs with tomatoes and how he feels about the prices that have slumped far from 300 kwacha to about 45 kwacha. Thank you so much for coming through to Business Day. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I appreciate you being here all the way from Chongwe. Let's start with production costs for tomatoes. You can rate it at how much currently? On average.
On average.
Not the exact figure, but at least on average.
So when you say tomatoes as a box?
A box, yes.
From the time...
We're trying to understand what is being lost, because if a box was 300 kwacha, now it's at 45 kwacha, how are you able to meet your production costs, or how are you able to sell it at that much and still try and get something from it? Is it possible?
It's not really possible because the price has really gone down, and in terms of the production itself, for you to have something out of it, when you look at the costs of chemicals and fertilizer, you find it's very expensive. And it's only not chemicals. By the end of the day, you have workers that you need to pay. Yes. So basically, it's stable.
So how would you describe this whole situation for you as a farmer? Because you're a farmer, but you're a businessman in essence.
Yes. This situation, it is normal against not very normal. Why am I saying it is normal? It's not very normal because in business there's what we call demand and supply. Yes. So at the moment there's too much supply of tomatoes. So that one has really affected the farmer. And due to that, the farmer cannot do anything. But all what we can ask for is maybe government to come in so that they can provide this market for us. Because at the moment, people want to do farming, and most of young people like me want to go into farming and produce, basically even employ others by the end of the day. But in this case, we can't manage.
Okay.
Because of the prices.
The government has been talking about diversification as well in regards to farming. A lot was said about that even in the 7th National Development Plan. Speaking from, of course, the area that you're in, Chongwe, or interaction with other farmers, do you think this is being heeded to? Because I'm thinking there's tomatoes that is slamming in price, so obviously you jump onto another crop, or is it maybe livestock? Is there a lot of diversification in agriculture at the moment?
There is, but again, for you to change into another program, you need to have a capital. So, and most of the farmers, they don't have that much money. These are small-scale farmers we're talking about. So, for example, you have a specific capital that you need to, you say, you'll grow my tomatoes. Then the price goes down. You can't just automatically change to another program.
Okay.
Yes.
What about issues of information trickling down to the farmer themselves? What can you say about information sensitization in regards to, primary sources, even just like value addition to the things that you are growing, the agri-produce that you have, even basic value addition like crush and just freeze or anything in those sorts? Does it get to the farmer?
There's not much information about that. Like me, where I am here, I don't know how to process, how I can preserve it. So I think we need to be educated on that one. Two, even the government itself, they can come up with the industries where they do just the way they do with the grains, like cooperatives. So if the same tomato farmers, we can be put into groups and supply whatever industry is there in terms of tomatoes for them to add value. Us is to grow them. So them they can add value. But if they want us to do that, then we need help from the government.
Do you think we have Zambians who are innovative enough to come through and add value to tomatoes themselves? Have you had people come through and say, are you able to supply me with tomatoes in bulk? Do you think, from your interactions, of course?
Yes, people have come to us because they want to go and sell somewhere when the price is high. Not because they want to process it, no. But if someone were to come, that would be a very good thing on our side as farmers. And we are looking forward if one could come and say, can you guys start growing these things for me? Then at a certain price. So the issue of maybe price being high in Zambia, that is not...
I was about to ask you on that one.
No.
They're saying you're not giving them a price that is good enough. That's why they keep going outside in terms of those who want to add value to tomatoes.
They've never made any effort to visit farmers to say, can we work together? Because I tell you, if the price is at 300 kwacha, I can still sell my tomatoes at 50 kwacha or 100 kwacha, provided if I have a steady market. The problem is there, we don't have a steady market. I don't have where I would say, after growing my tomatoes, I'll take it aside. But if we have a ready market, you agree with that person. It's a contract. You grow for that person.
I've heard people on this platform on Business Day, especially when it comes to farmers supplying, let's say, supermarkets and having a contract with somebody. There's a lot of times people start to say that Zambian farmers fail to adhere to the amount that is needed in terms of consistency. Speaking for yourself, that is now, because obviously you can't speak for other farmers.
Yeah, okay. In my case, I would say no. I think if I was given that task, if any chain store says, Mr. Malunga, can you provide this for us? I think I can do it. I've got enough space, but I need just a capital. And if the government is there to support us in terms of capital, I don't think I can have a problem. I'm ready to work. Yes.
Okay. Now, looking at the prices that have slammed for tomatoes, and you grow tomatoes a lot at your farm, how do you plan to come out of this one? When it comes to finances and costs and how you're going to cover up, because obviously the production costs versus what you're going to get out of it is a loss, isn't it?
Yes. I've come to learn something in business. It's about patience, one. Then there's loss and profit. So this is a time that we are making loss. I believe one day things may change. And when they change, it's time for me to save and plan for the next season.
All right. Well, thank you for coming through, Mr. Lovemore Malunga.
You're welcome.
All right. We just hope next season all the farmers will not now grow tomato and they'll grow something else, and then now there'll be deficit of tomato.
No, growing tomato, we should continue growing. We should continue growing, because if you don't grow, it's not a bad thing that the price has gone down. It is bad because the chemicals, the prices are high. It's a good thing when the price goes down in terms of food stuff, because we are able to provide, and it's what the government needs. I think so. So it is the source of fertilizer and the chemicals that we are using. If those things are cheap, if I sell a box at 10 kwacha and I still make my profit, I'm able to pay my workers, then I have no problem. So the issue is about the chemicals. Because if I give an example, this tuta, I'm sure you've read about it.
Yes.
Yes. If you want to buy the chemical which is supposed to combat that problem, 1 liter is costing about 3,000 something. And there are only 20 sprays there if you're using a drum.
And how many acres can it cover?
About an acre. Tomatoes depends how big they are, because with time they grow. So you use more chemicals than when you're starting. So that's where the challenge is. So if they can work on that, I'm telling you, tomatoes, we'll be talking about 10 kwacha, I'll be able to plant for 10 kwacha and pay my workers.
And everybody will be happy. The farmer will be happy.
If
The
you
consumers will be
yes.
happy as well.
And we'll be able to export.
Of course.
And we'll create more jobs.
Trickle effects of agribusiness.
Sure.
All right, so that is agribusiness, the discussion with Lovemore Malunga from Chongwe, a farmer growing some tomatoes, letting us into the world of agribusiness as he gets into how he comes out of issues of losses and then getting into diversification as well. You're watching Business Day. Thank you so much for still watching Business Day. We go to our colleagues, Zanis, as they take us into the tourism sector. Now, Amos Malupenga, the Permanent Secretary of Tourism, says that visual art has got potential to enhance the tourism sector and show Zambia in a different light to the outside world. Here is a report.
Government says visual arts such as paintings, drawings, and sculptures can be used to expose the country's tourism potential. This is why Tourism and Arts Permanent Secretary Amos Malupenga wants more players to invest in private art galleries so as to help market Zambia as a preferred tourism destination. Mr. Malupenga said this when he officiated at an art exhibition organized by Zilla Private Art Gallery in honor of Zambia's founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. He commended Zella for using visual arts to promote tourism.
As government, we find the idea of Zilla Art Gallery to resonate very well with our aim of promoting tourism through art. We do sincerely believe that if more of our people do take up such initiatives of investing in tourism ventures, the sector of tourism would indeed become an economic spinner for the nation.
National Arts Council Director saluted artists for creating unique art pieces.
We thank the artists for their creativity and for their work.
And speaking earlier, Zella, Private Art Gallery representative, explained that the exhibition was inspired by 3 letters written by Dr. Kaunda on nature, culture, and art.
These works of art were inspired by the wise words of our elder, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. And these words were first conceptualized, they were written down, they were read, and then the inspirations drawn from what the artist read were used to sculpt, to carve, to paint the works before you.
Zambia's rich cultural heritage will only be appreciated by the outside world if it is exposed through visual and performing arts. For Zanis, I'm Lakson Makodza.
That there ends our program for today. Thank you so much for having been a part of it. Join us next week, Thursday, 18:30, for more information of economy, business, as well as the corporate world. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Judy Ngulube.